Hi, welcome back to Thrifty Finance Vision PH, where we talk about smart financial moves that can help you manage your money better. Today, we're tackling a question that hits home for many Filipinos. Should you focus on building an emergency fund first or start investing your money to grow it? This is one of those decisions that can change the course of your financial future. So, stick around because we are going to break it down into easy-to-understand steps and give you practical tips that are perfect for our situation here in the Philippines. Before we get into which one to focus on first, emergency fund or investments, let's take a moment to think about the typical Filipino financial landscape. Did you know that according to the BSB, only about 25% of Filipino adults have some form of savings? And among those who save, many don't have enough to cover 3 months of living expenses in case of an emergency. At the same time, the stock market and other investments are becoming more accessible through platforms like COL Financial, BPI Trade, and Pag-IBIG MP2. So, it's no wonder many of us are asking, should we save or invest? Let's dive into each option. Let's start with the emergency fund. This is one of the most important parts of a solid financial foundation. An emergency fund is a pool of money that you set aside for life's unexpected moments. Situations like medical emergencies, urgent house repairs, or even job loss. Why is it so important? Well, imagine this. You've got a few thousand pesos invested in stocks, but suddenly, you or a family member gets sick and you need to pay for hospital bills. Without an emergency fund, you'd be forced to sell your stocks, even if the market is down. You might end up losing money on that investment because you need immediate cash. That's why experts always recommend having an emergency fund first. It's your financial safety net. But how much should you aim to save? The general advice is to have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved up. For example, if your monthly expenses, rent, food, utilities, come to 30,000 pesos, you should aim to save at least 90,000 pesos to 180,000 pesos in your emergency fund. For many Filipinos, especially those supporting extended families or working abroad, it might be smart to aim for 6 months or more. That's because if you lose your job or face a family crisis, it could take longer to recover. Now that we've established how important it is, where should you keep your emergency fund? The key here is liquidity. You need this money to be easily accessible, but you also want it to grow a little bit while it sits there. Here in the Philippines, one of the best places to park your emergency fund is in a high-yield savings account or digital bank. These options offer higher interest rates than traditional banks, allowing your money to grow, even if it's just a little bit. Let's talk numbers. Right now, traditional savings accounts offer interest rates as low as 0.1%, but digital banks like CMB, GSave, and Tonic offer rates between 2% to 4% annually. That's a huge difference. But remember, the main goal of your emergency fund is accessibility, not high returns. So, don't invest your emergency fund in something risky like stocks or mutual funds. Now let's talk about investing. Investing is all about putting your money into something, whether it's the stock market, real estate, or even Pag-IBIG MP2, with the hope that it will grow over time. Investments are a great way to build wealth, but they come with risks. The value of your investments can go up or down depending on the market. The goal here is long-term growth, so you have to be patient and prepared to ride out any market fluctuations. Why should Filipinos invest? Simple. It's one of the best ways to beat inflation. Inflation erodes the value of your money over time. For example, the same 500 pesos today won't buy you the same amount of groceries in 5 or 10 years. By investing, you're helping your money grow faster than inflation can reduce its purchasing power. There are plenty of options to invest in the Philippines. You can go with the stock market, using platforms like COL Financial or BPI Trade. If you're looking for something lower risk, Pag-IBIG MP2 is a great option. It's backed by the government and offers dividends of up to 7%, much higher than any regular savings account. Alright, so now we've covered both emergency funds and investments. But which should you prioritize? Let us put it this way. Start with your emergency fund first. Without an emergency fund, you could be forced to sell your investments at a bad time. Maybe when the market is down, just to cover unexpected expenses. That's like taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Once you've saved 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, then you can start thinking about investing. And when you do invest, start small. Maybe put a portion of your extra income into something like Pag-IBIG MP2 or a mutual fund, where the risk is more manageable. At the end of the day, your emergency fund gives you peace of mind, and your investments give you long-term financial growth. Both are essential, but the emergency fund should always come first. Here are some practical tips you can start using today. Tip number 1, automate your savings. Set up an automatic transfer from your payroll account to your emergency fund savings account. Even if it's just 500 pesos or 1,000 pesos a month, it adds up over time. Tip number 2, start small with investments. Once you have your emergency fund, begin with small investments. Maybe try Pag-IBIG MP2, which is low risk and decent returns, or put a bit into a mutual fund. The key is to get comfortable with the process. Tip number 3, regularly review your progress. As your income grows, revisit your emergency fund and investments. If you start earning more, increase your contributions. And if your lifestyle changes, make sure your emergency fund still covers your expenses. Tip number 4, avoid using your emergency fund for non-emergencies. Once you've built your emergency fund, resist the temptation to dip into it for things that aren't really emergencies. If you're thinking of using it for a vacation or shopping, remember, that's what your other savings or discretionary funds are for. Your emergency fund is strictly for urgent, unforeseen events, medical expenses, sudden repairs, or job loss. Tip number 5, set financial goals to stay on track. Saving and investing can sometimes feel overwhelming, so it's helpful to have clear goals. For example, I want to build my emergency fund to 100,000 pesos by the end of the year, or I plan to invest 5,000 pesos in Pag-IBIG MP2 every quarter. Setting concrete goals gives you something to work towards and makes financial discipline easier. Tip number 6, educate yourself continuously. Last but not least, always continue learning about personal finance. Whether it's reading books, watching YouTube videos like this one, or joining finance groups on social media, the more you know, the better decisions you can make. There's always something new to learn about saving, investing, and managing money. Let's also talk about the bigger picture. Financial planning isn't just about 1 or 2 steps, it's a journey. As you grow your emergency fund and start investing, you'll need to balance these priorities over time. For instance, once your emergency fund is fully funded, that doesn't mean you stop paying attention to it. Maybe in a few years, you'll want to increase your emergency savings as your lifestyle changes, or if you have a family, you'll need a larger safety net. At the same time, your investments will evolve too. Maybe you'll start with lower risk options like Pag-IBIG MP2 or mutual funds. And as you become more comfortable, you can explore more aggressive investments like stocks or even real estate. But remember, it's about slow and steady progress. The goal is financial security, not overnight riches. Let's bring this home with some real-life examples that many Filipinos can relate to. For instance, if you're an OFW working abroad, your income might be higher than the average salary in the Philippines, but you're likely supporting family members back home. In this case, it's even more crucial to have an emergency fund because you might not be physically present to handle emergencies, and sending money at the last minute can be tricky. Or maybe you're a freelancer or small business owner. Your income is likely variable. You could have months where you're in a lot and others where income is low. Having an emergency fund during the lean months is crucial to keep you financially stable while you continue to grow your business or freelance career. For Filipinos with a more stable income, like those employed in the corporate sector, having an emergency fund can protect you from sudden job loss or medical emergencies. After securing your emergency fund, you can begin investing gradually, starting with easy-to-manage options like Pag-IBIG MP2 or mutual funds. Now, some of you might be thinking, I'm too young to start saving, or investing is only for rich people. But let's bust those myths right now. Myth number 1, I'm too young to start saving or investing. Actually, the earlier you start, the better. Even if you're just starting your career, setting aside a small portion for an emergency fund can make a big difference. And the power of compounding works best when you start early, meaning your investments have more time to grow. Myth number 2, investing is only for the rich. Not true at all. You don't need millions to invest. Platforms like Pag-IBIG MP2 allow you to start with as little as 500 pesos. Mutual funds can start at 1,000 pesos. And with digital platforms like COL Financial, you can begin investing in stocks with just 5,000 pesos. So there you have it, the lowdown on whether you should prioritize building an emergency fund or investing first. Remember, your emergency fund is your safety net, and once that's in place, you can start growing your money through investments. The key is to balance both as your financial situation evolves. We hope this video helped clear up some of your questions. Let us know in the comments. Where are you in your financial journey? Do you already have an emergency fund? Or are you starting to invest? We love to hear your stories and questions. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos on smart money management. As always, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.